All right. Good morning or good evening, Leo, depending on where you're watching me. It's good to see you. Got my little furry assistant here, Apollo, with me. And as I was saying, the delay this morning was due to somebody impersonating me on Instagram, as they did in Twitter earlier this week. I'll post some safety tips a little bit later today here on YouTube, just so it's a little bit easier for you to know who's who. Just a couple of big tips at the beginning here, I would say. On YouTube, always look for that gray check mark. My channel is verified, and currently I have around 322,000 subscribers. So if you notice a low subscriber count, no check mark, or not a lot of content, that's not me. Also remember that I never will direct message or even message in comments asking for anything. And that's usually a big red flag. I don't offer private readings either. So I don't normally start my readings off that way, but I like to make sure that people know the real Nicholas Ashbaugh. You can always go to my website as well. Let me just put that here. My live schedule's here, but you can also go to the social media portion of it if you need to figure out who's who. And of course, my handle is always my full name spelled Nicholas Ashbaugh. A lot of times people add underscores or extra letters or take off letters. So there's all the information there. Twitter's the only one that differs from that because of character limits. So anyway. Welcome to your monthly forecast. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and live readings like this are the best way to interact with me. I can see what you're saying right there. And you know, a lot of times here you have a chance to interact with me and vote. Even this morning, I'm asking you like what cards you want to use. This is the place to hang out and chat, not direct messages. And part of the reason I had to stop private readings was because of all of the imposters out there. So it actually frees me up to do more of this, which is good. So I'm putting a lot more energy this year into content creation. Later today, I'm probably going to hang out with my Instagram family. So again, if you haven't joined me yet on Instagram, do that. I'll do a little after show later today after I walk the dog and talk to them and maybe give them a free check-in and see what's going on with the Instagram group. But anyway, we're here today to talk about Leo, and it's Leo sun, rising, moon, Venus, any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. There's a lot that we'll be going through today. We're going to light the candles together as well here in just a moment, but I begin with channeled messages. That's what I was doing while I delayed it a few extra moments this morning. Then I'll go into the Celtic Cross. I approach the Celtic Cross a little differently than some readers where they're looking just at love or just at career. I look at a sort of holistic view, and then we go into all of those subcategories when I expand the forecast. And then there's a lot of other stuff that follows it where we get like an overarching view of what to focus on, something that could help you, something that could hinder you, and then you get to vote on some things as well. And then toward the meditation portion, right before it, I do sun, rising, and moon. I've kind of held it to that point because it gives us this beautiful sort of stacking of all the energies, and then we can kind of fine tune it for those of you tuning in specifically for sun, rising, moon. And that is basically the overall setup. And why don't we begin by tuning in together? And, you know, I tried to make lemonade out of lemons. So this morning I had to, you know, put an extra post on Instagram, waste a little bit of time there, but we're going to spend a little bit of extra time together to tune in and to focus on making this a great month for you. Okay, and by the way, this forecast can be used for the next 6 to 8 weeks. It's currently happening live in June, but I'm reading for July, so that gives you a nice amount of time to affect change in your life. All right, let me grab the candles and my lighter, and we're going to get started here tuning in, all right? Good to see everybody. I hope you're doing well, by the way. All right, we're going to put some new candles in the smaller candles behind me, but we're going to start first with this larger one over here. Okay, so I'd like to begin with a single candle to help us tune in to source. And depending on the time of day or night where you're at, you can imagine a different light source, whether it's the sun, the moon, or just a star. You can imagine this beautiful silver starlight shining on you. And as you see that light connecting from the firmament, from the heavens above, I want you to feel this sense of purpose, connection, and power, which we all actually have and sometimes forget in our day-to-day lives. Close your eyes, breathe in that light, and make an intention to connect to the highest good. And that's what I'm going to be doing for you. So let's welcome in the light, welcome in the divine energy of which we are all co-creating our lives, and that prayer has been heard. Okay, and now we'll do 4 more little intentions and then we'll get started. Because we're working with intuitive work, I always like to begin with Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael is a protector. You can use any sort of connection that you'd like if there's another deity or another sort of ascended master you want to work with. But I'm going to call in Archangel Michael to protect and guide us so that we can really just focus. He's like our bodyguard. So Archangel Michael, protect us, allow us to focus on receiving the messages and allow only the highest energy in. Energy of the divine. Okay, next let's connect with Archangel Gabriel, really good for messages, sending and receiving. So what I'm going to ask is, Archangel Michael, allow me to be a clear channel so that I can deliver messages in the clearest way possible. Allow everyone else to also connect with their inner messenger and their inner ability to be a channel and medium as well, so that they can decide what to do with these messages. Free will is always a part of this. So we've worked with Michael, we've worked with Gabriel. Let's work with Raphael for those of you that might need healing. Please, Archangel Raphael, allow for any healing to be facilitated today. Anybody that's trying to release or somehow get past an energetic block, allow that to be facilitated as well. And now, with all of those sort of protections in place, let's also open up to ancestral, archangelic, or other sort of ascended master energy that needs or wants to come through. Okay? And I'm going to put all of these candles behind us, and then we're going to get started and look at the channeled messages. There we go. That makes me feel better whenever I do it. And on a morning like today, when there's sort of like some stress that happens earlier, I actually find that that's a really grounding sort of thing. So if you had a long day, you can light a single candle too and just sort of sit there, make some intentions, get your mind and get your energy centered. Whenever you're doing intuitive work like we're doing today, it's also really important to create some boundaries and decide what it is that what you're trying to call in. And so that's part of what we were doing as well. Okay. So let's get the presentation set up. And you had a lot of totems today. Leo, there's a lot going on with you. I was busy getting dream messages yesterday and also today, and I didn't want to shortchange you, so that's why I was a couple minutes late. One thing that's really cool when you're your own boss, and also when you prioritize quality over sort of like rushing it out of the gate, which is something that we talked about with Cancer yesterday. Yeah, what's 5 or 10 minutes if it means better quality? So that's what I thought this morning. I'm not going to get stressed out. I'm not going to let someone else stress me out. We just kind of like take it easy. And I wanted to make sure that I got through all of these because there was a lot to talk about. And one thing that's really cool, actually, and I can find a positive to this, is that whenever you're about to do something amazing, the universe sometimes will step in to test you, particularly shadow energy, because it doesn't want the message to get out there. So whenever I have like someone impersonating me, I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing okay because there's shadow energy trying to come in and interrupt, but I'm not going to let the shadow energy interrupt. And you have a lot to learn and a lot to kind of like embrace today. So to that end, let's talk about what I saw. All right. So one of the key sort of common elements that kept coming through, and it's the main totem, if I have to pick one, is rain. So water falling from the sky. And I'll break down what causes it and why it's coming through for you. I was also looking at roofs or ceilings that were crumbling. So to me, that indicates breaking through a glass ceiling or an old block in your life. I saw connecting flights, which portends really good things for you, but also puts a little bit of an impetus on action. So we'll see how and when to do that when we look at the Celtic Cross in a few moments. I was shown the dramatic masks, so we're going to talk about facades. We're going to look at revelations, which is the last piece here, and all of this will also play through the Celtic Cross as we get into the latter part of the reading. So rain, you know, I like to geek out on science and astrology and astronomy and things that we don't know yet. So I was just thinking here, give me something scientific and help me understand rain, and that will help us understand the totem. So rain in simple terms is condensation. So precipitation forms in the clouds when vapor condenses into bigger and bigger droplets of water. When the drops fall to earth, or when they're heavy enough, they fall to earth, and that's rain. The interesting piece in the science bit today that we're going to look at is the irritating element here, which would be particles of dust or smoke. These are called condensation nuclei, and they provide a surface for the water vapor to condense upon. And then this helps the water gather enough sort of weight to then fall to the earth. When the universe was formed, basically particles collided and kept forming like bigger pieces, and the bigger pieces had more and more gravity, and they started pulling things in. Not too different than what's happening with the rain. There has to be something initially to build upon. It's an ace of pentacles. The smallest particle of earth or dust would still be an ace of pentacles. Ideas can come in a very quick sort of way, a spark of inspiration, and then they get added upon. So to me, when I thought of, it's not an ace of cups, it's an ace of pentacles, because earth is going up into air and then water is going to attach to it. So there's something that you've been sitting on, there's something that you've been thinking about. There's something that might be kind of like on the tip of your tongue, or it's been bothering you. It's an irritant of some sort, because smoke is an irritant. It's because your higher self is saying, hey, you, pay attention to this. We need to get moving, and I'm going to start building the necessary components to deliver this to you, or to help you deliver whatever it is that you're working on. So pay attention to what's bothering you. It's actually what's going to move you to the next level. So there's a tipping point that's coming for you, because that's really what we've been building up to at this kind of juncture here. So this month, like that condensation nuclei, you may have a single moment that provides some sort of a moment of clarity, an epiphany, or tipping or breakthrough point from which you have to move forward. You have to make a new trajectory. So another sort of very common phrase that we all use is the straw that breaks the camel's back. But basically it means that there's one more thing that you just can't turn back from. Once that happens, something clicks. Sometimes something snaps, but let's assume that it's going to be more of a click where it's like, I can't do this, I won't do this, or I must do this. Something very polarized where it's easy then, and it's almost like a weight off your back, because you know this doesn't work, or I want this more than I've ever wanted this. So that polarizing moment is coming soon. And for those of you that have been sitting in indecision or waiting for something, that little irritant that's been in your head, that little thought, that shadow of something is there to help you figure out how to get to this point faster before it maybe becomes the straw that breaks the camel's back. Because there's some elements of the tower that's entering in this month as well for you, even though we're through a retrograde. Breakthrough, breaking point, breaking out, somehow getting away from where you are and building something new. So you have to embrace, you can't sort of retract from this realization. At least that's my advice to you, okay? The next piece here is you have a chance to do what's right, what you desire, not simply what's expected from you. And this is the time where the Ace of Cups will come in, because we couldn't have the Ace of Pentacles without the Ace of Cups, the dust and the water combining right now. But like again, right in the middle of this, we're going to have that decision point. And I didn't talk about judgment, but judgment has a couple of elements to it that I want to talk about, and then we'll get back to the Ace of Cups. Judgment is both hearing and accepting what's necessary. You're receiving. That's Gabriel on the card, delivering a message. But you have to be the open channel to receive the message. And then there is the realization that something's done, but something's beginning. So we have the souls rising from the dead on this one, the phoenix rising from the ashes, one door closing, one door opening. Acceptance, release, and then embracing something new. And that's the tipping point. It doesn't have to be like a breakdown. It's just like, oh, okay, enough of this. Let's do this now. Once you do that, your heart opens up, things feel easier, and energy starts flowing through again. Precipitation in a good way. Whenever I see rain, it can also be something that you're highly connected to emotionally. So it could be extreme, joy. It can be extreme fear, extreme stress. It's extreme. So let's try to temper that a little bit and bring in that sense of creativity, joy, and just experience what's going on, because you are a channel, but that doesn't mean that you have to sort of absorb everything. Channels are conduits. So take the good, take the bad, try to take something in the middle that's going to be worth your time and energy. Follow your heart. It's going to be your compass. So just like a faucet would be able to manage how much hot and how much cold, you're going to be like that. You're going to be the person, the chariot here, and we have two horses here, same sort of thing, but you're going to manage the valves a little bit. So there's high and low pressure, hot and cold. You're going to be the calm. You're going to be the middle, the sort of tempered version of this. Stick to the facts when you can. Try to stay rational. It's hard sometimes. And find a middle ground. It's the happy medium, basically. And that it's not going to be everything they want or everything you want, but it could be everything that both of you need. And that might be the most important thing this month for you. Saying no is key. We talked about it in the Cancer reading. We're going to talk about it today because I'm getting similar messages for you. Establishing boundaries and taking care of your own mind, body, and spirit are essential. I'm talking to the moms, the dads, the teachers, the nurses, the caretakers, all the people that have folks that are depending on you or reporting to you. You end up sometimes being a mama or papa and trying to take care of these folks, but you also need to put that divine mother and father energy within yourself. Construction time, it's upon us. So I watched in dreams as the roof was leaking and falling apart, but I noticed that the people beneath it were not upset. They were kind of having fun. It was almost like a dance of some sort. To me, this represents the removal of an old way of thinking, an old way of working, or even being, and it's a chance to break the glass ceiling, build something new, maybe have a little bit of fun in this sort of reconstruction. It is time to get ahead of the tower, making necessary changes in your life before the changes are thrust upon you. And ways that this can happen for many of you could be just getting out of a bad situation before it's worse, or deciding once and for all to fix something that's broken. Okay? And yes, sometimes my visions are like on the nose. So some of you may need to look at your roof just to make sure that, if you've been putting off repairing it, definitely look at the obvious. I always go for the more symbolic read on these, but, weatherproof it, because I saw a lot of rain and a lot of leaking and I saw the roof. So for those of you that are homeowners and can do that, take a look at that. Whenever I also see like the roof or pipes and I see blockages or breakthroughs like this, it's also about making sure that you're making that proper connection between you and another person. So when we're sort of like cleaning out old pipes, sometimes it's because there's blockages or rust. So there's this sort of release that needs to happen. Some of you've been building up to this moment. We want to avoid the tower. So part of that is going to be like we looked at, a slide earlier, making sure that you start to let things flow through. And then there's none of that sort of explosion, and we don't want that. All right, which is a perfect segue into the Page of Swords. And I chose the page because of all of the court cards within the suit of swords. To me, it's the most palatable. And it is an in-between. It's listening and it's also speaking. So be the voice of reason, be the voice of change, say what needs to be said, be the investigator, be the journalist, ask the questions. And if you can't find a way to do all of this, it might just be time to move on to an environment that's more receptive to you. But you are being asked to kind of open up the throat chakra this month and use your skills, use your voice, okay? Time is key. Whenever I'm shown a connection, and whether it's a connecting flight, train, or bus, it doesn't matter, they're the same metaphors. I saw a connection happening for you. And now it's your time to make a bold move for change. This moment in time is key, and when I say that, it's 6 to 8 weeks. So over the next month and a half, something needs to happen. Change needs to happen. More energy or more investment of your time and energy is also being asked of you. So visualize what you're trying to do and then really allow that to take shape and take form. There's one more slide here, and it is basically probably one of my favorite ones, which is you are the writer, you are the creator or the co-creator. So if you don't like this story, write a new ending. Also, avoid typecasting. Typecasting yourself. We do this all the time. I hear it in clients, especially when I used to do readings for them, but they would say things like, I don't have good luck in love, or I'm never going to find this, or this never works for me. And, I would remind them that they were basically creating their own self-fulfilling prophecy. It's much more powerful to say, I've experienced blocks in love, but I'm ready to do the work. Here's one thing that's bothering me. What should I do? Once you figured it out, you can also say, I'm now ready to work past this and receive love in abundance. And I accept who I am and I celebrate who I am. And I'm working on this thing, which I'm not happy with, but I now have a clear vision of what I want to do about it. So be proactive, embrace the things that you love, embrace the things that you don't, and figure out a plan of attack. This is going to help you show up like the star because we need to kind of let go of the facades. So the whole way that I got to this was I was shown the dramatic comedy and tragedy masks, and that's what they stand for. So you'll see one that's happy, one that's sad. And they're extremes, and it's a quick, iconic sort of thing that we get. It's like, but true stories and compelling stories are neither overly comedic or overly tragic. They basically combine elements of the two. And if you think of maybe your favorite movies or television series, typically they're not on the extremes. There's a good level of gray in between. So the hero may have anti-hero qualities, and the villain may be a little bit of a shade of gray, and there's something that you can relate to. That makes it more compelling. If you can empathize with the person that's the antagonist that's causing the problems, and then you have some criticism for the hero, you're like, where do I got to tune in. How's this going to end? Maybe this person can be redeemed. Maybe this isn't the hero. So true compelling life isn't black and white. It's in the middle. And avoid the typecasting, because sometimes you can help someone who's been put in that typecast energy of loser, villain, et cetera, and help them be the winner, help them find a redeeming quality, help them see a different way out. In my own life, this happened when I was a kid because I was in a terrible school system, and I'm not going to name which place it was, but my parents were able to transfer us across country, and I was able to get into a really good school system. When I was at the previous one, they gave me detention a lot, like almost every day, and it was because of silly things. I laughed a lot, and I had an infectious laugh, so they said I was disrupting kids. Sometimes I would scribble when the teacher was talking, so they told me that I wasn't paying attention, not that I was artistic. So they punished me for having joy, for laughing. They punished me for creativity, drawing. And then also, I didn't test well, sometimes on the tests. So they judged me because I wasn't a good test taker. They didn't try to see if I could apply my skills. And then also, this was the cruelest thing. I just like to exercise. And so when it was recess time, I couldn't wait to get outside, so I would run. So then they would take away my privilege to enjoy recess because I ran to the door. So I lost my recesses, and I had to then stay every day after school. I was like, it didn't break me, but I didn't understand it. And I started to get poorer grades at some point. And it was just a bad experience. So they had typecast me as a bad kid, and it followed me for a few grades. When I went across country, I was then welcomed into the new group, this new school, and they looked at the grades and they looked at my scores, and they also just looked at me. They truly saw me, and they said, "We're so happy to have you here. You're a good kid." And my mom just kind of like squeezed my hand. And when we went outside, she said, "Just go with it." And I said, "What's going on?" She said, "I don't know." She said, "This is a good place. Just go with it." And within a year, I went from being like a BC student to straight A's. So I was able to walk from a typecast into an opportunity. And if I'd stayed in the old school system, who knows what would have happened to my life? It wouldn't have probably been great. Because I was able to be transplanted into a place of acceptance, I was able to thrive. So kids especially deserve as many chances as you can give them. This was when I was in the 3rd grade that happened, and it completely changed my life for the better. So I believe everybody should be removed from that typecast. I think there are not really bad kids. I think there are bad environments. I think sometimes there are unprepared teachers or parents, And we need to do our best to sort of embrace that. But as your inner child is here, so your Five of Pentacles moment might be part of what's coming through here. And I'm here to tell you, you can write a happier ending. Shame on the teachers or the parents or the friends or the people around you that maybe weren't able to help you through that. But one of the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing on this planet is to help people. And I'm happy to do that. Okay? So if I hopefully can reach one person out there today, then it was all worth it. All right, so that was my little tirade, but I think it's important to know on this one I speak from experience. And kids are good. I think kids are good. They have potential. Let's help them out. I'm not a parent. I'm not a teacher. I'm your teacher. I'm not a teacher of kids. But, give everyone a second chance. Give your inner child a second chance. Something that I am passionate about is children and their emotional and mental health, because thankfully, I was just joyful as a kid, but I could have easily gone into a depressive state if I had stayed in that energy. So kids are wise. Kids come here to teach us, not the other way around. All right, so welcome everyone. If you're joining me live, please hit the subscribe button so you can take part in the live chat with me. I reminded everyone earlier about how to suss out who the imposters are on social media. There's been one on Twitter, one on Instagram. They usually make the rounds. I don't direct message. This is the only place that we chat live, and I'm not going to ask you for anything. If you want to support me, you can do it, but it's optional. I'm not going to message you to do that. Just showing up is going to be great. But yes, if you do this, I will actually thank you in real time here on YouTube, okay? And my schedule's on my website, and all the other information that I mentioned is on my website. All right, let me take a look at what you guys had mentioned while I was getting set up today. So I asked for some of your favorite decks. We have Lightseers and Afro Goddess. Let's see. I'm not going to do Syrian Starseed because it's way too abstract. I like it, but everything has been changed in that deck and it's too hard to read with. Let's see, something with animals. I can do that too. Okay, so I'll make sure to put Lightseers and Afro Goddess in the mix. And if there's anything else, let me know. Let's go ahead and get started here. So listening to what you asked for, here's your Afro Goddess. Here's your Lightseers. I actually think, let's see, Modern Witch may be a good complement to all of these. And let's see if there's anything else. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Maybe something that I haven't used for a while. Okay, I'm just going to, let's see, I think we'll pull this one in over here too. All right, so we're gonna go with these because they all have kind of a similar energy, and pull one of each. So you can see while I'm doing this, and then I'll pull some additional cards underneath. Okay, so we have 4 options in front of us. We have Afro Goddess, we have Lightseers, we have the Modern Witch, and we have True Heart Intuitive. Okay, so you'll have a chance to vote on these, and while you're doing that, I'm going to show you some cards within each deck so you can make your selection. So this is the Afro Goddess one. Got a few mentions today. Beautiful deck, great energy. Seems to want to get your attention because the star card flew out. And then we've got the Lightseers deck, also one of my faves. So you guys are making great choices today. Lives up to its name. It has some of the best illustrations that I've seen in a Rider-Waite Smith deck. Then we also have a more sort of straight and expected interpretation of it here, Modern Witch, but I like this one as well. A lot of divine feminine energy within this deck. And then one of my probably top 5s that I like here, this is the True Heart Intuitive, and I like some of the unique pip cards and just general energy of this deck. Okay, so you have some choices. And it looks like the latter one is in the lead. So it looks like True Heart Intuitive is by a narrow amount winning. This is one of the closest polls ever. I really did choose very compatible decks here. So let's see which one takes the win. It's True Heart Intuitive by 2 points at 27%. So thank you so much, everybody. All right, let's get started on the reading. Thanks again for everyone that was patient while I was getting set up this morning. I do appreciate it. Again, we're going to be looking at the Celtic Cross here, and this is going to be for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And again, you can use it for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. And at the very end, I will go through Sun, Rising, and Moon in particular, so stick around for that. That was the closest pull ever. It was basically almost a quarter of each one. Clearly, you guys liked all the choices. No bad choices. That's always my goal, especially when I'm even giving you topics for the weekend. By the way, that's one of the benefits if you want to become a channel member. You get a chance to vote. And when I hit 325,000 subscribers, I will do a Q&A. And I always open that up to members first and Patreons first. Okay, let's see what the cards are saying for this month. I'll change up my expanded cards when I do the weekend one. I'm not taking new clients. I don't take clients anymore. I'm focusing instead on what you see here. I'd like to start a podcast. Someone's asking that. So this is going to help you. If anyone says I'm taking new clients, it's not me. I've just decided to focus on content creation here on YouTube, on Instagram, and podcasts and writing and other sort of things. Because I can help more people in that way. Rather than just one-on-one, I can do more with the group here. Okay, let's take a look at what's coming through here for you. All right, so let me just get my camera set up and let's talk. We have the positive outlook. And the card was reversed, but that does not mean that there are negative things. It means that there are a lot of different ways to look at it. And it's really asking you to shift your view. I like that we see all the different faces here, Ganesh in different directions and different dimensions rather. And it's basically saying so much is possible if you stop focusing sometimes on one person or one thing and instead look at what's over here. And the perfect card in tarot that would relate to this is the Four of Cups. A lot of times the universe is delivering an opportunity to us, but we're so disgruntled or grumpy that we miss something. So I'll find the card while we're talking. But I would say for you, a change of perspective could completely open up doors for you and could also really help heal some of the stuff that has been holding you back. So it can change your life. A change of mind can change your entire life. Here's the card that I was looking for. It's the Four of Cups. We see someone with their arms folded. They're upset. They're like, why isn't this happening? Or why does everyone else have this and not me? Why is the grass greener over there? Meanwhile, the universe is actually, if we just took out what's in front of them, it's an ace. There's an opportunity. So it's literally handing something to this person, but they're not looking. So every different deck of cards is going to show that missing card in a different way. Sometimes it's hidden in a tree. Sometimes it's over here or it's behind them. Sometimes it's floating right by them, but they're tuned out. So basically what I would say with this is tune into positivity. Sometimes tuning out is a defense mechanism. So when I was a little kid, when I was in the kindergarten, first and second grade, that's when I was kind of getting the not so nice treatment from the teachers. I just tuned it out. And I would get more detention because in detention, I would laugh. It was like the Breakfast Club for me. So instead of feeling like I was being punished, I started to make friends in detention. So I had a positive outlook even with that. And in the second grade, I can relate to the Breakfast Club because I was one of those kids in the Breakfast Club. There should have been room for a little intuitive, creative kid. That would have been me. So keep your positive outlook if you're in a negative situation, but if you're feeling frustrated or blocked, look in a different space. There's something beyond what's there. People haven't maybe seen the true you. You may not have seen the true you. So it's time to look in a different direction. And maybe the mirror that you've been looking in is like a funhouse mirror and it's not a correct sort of lens. So imagine something different for you, okay? Let's go into the center cards here. One last thing here is don't sweep something under the rug. So sometimes in the hopes of making everything okay, we ignore something that needs to be fixed. So positivity, absolutely. It's a powerful and a necessary piece to happiness. But also, it's okay to not be positive about, let's not put it that way. It's okay to be unhappy. Unhappiness is coming through like that agitating energy in rain. What was it called? Condensation nuclei. So we need something to create the change. And so for me, like I talked about it yesterday with my career, it was actually a loss of my dad at the time. And then the pressure cooker that I was in, it was just too much. And I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. And we all get to this point. Sometimes it's a relationship where it's just been too much work and there's not enough sort of coming together. Sometimes like a living situation where there's too much distraction. It's not worth the money that you're paying. It's not worth the other trade-offs. We get to a point where there's a tipping point. So it's okay to feel something that gets you to the tipping point. But then it's what am I going to do to get out of this energy that's constantly tipping me into being unbalanced, okay? So okay to be unhappy, okay to be angry, okay to feel. We want to feel. But then let's find what we can do with that and try to find a positive outcome from this. There's always a way through or out or around that irritant. And that irritant is basically an Ace of Pentacles in disguise or an Ace of Cups in disguise. It's helping you find what you truly want or what you can truly invest in. Underneath we didn't even look at the, the main card, but we will. So the main card here is the Eight of Pentacles. So the Eight of Pentacles is learning. Many of you might be just wrapping up a karmic relationship or a karmic lesson. Look at the little spider web there in the corner. That is the feeling that I'm trapped, but everything around this is showing growth. We see the roots of the tree, we see the cherry blossoms, and we see the person finishing up those final touches. So Eight of Pentacles comes through as a beacon of not just hope, but also confirmation. So if you are looking to go back to school, if you are looking to put your time and energy into something that's going to require work, but you feel very passionate about, this card says, yes, that sounds good to me. This is a good investment. The web is an attractive force that we see here, that little spider web. This is like a dream catcher. And you're putting a net out there, waiting for something beautiful to happen, and you're starting to pull it in. You're starting to aggregate all the necessary pieces that will feed the dream. And that's what I see the sort of web signifying. The spider is weaving the threads of fate, and it's good at catching what it needs. So you have this capacity to see a return on your energetic investment with the Eight of Pentacles. So school, work, projects, anything that you put time and energy into and truly get behind, you're going to be able to bring it into your life. At least put the needle closer this month, all right? So I like this. And then you can't get much better than this crossing it. We have the Wheel of Fortune. So I like that we see sort of a nautical wheel represented here, but anytime it's a wheel, whether it's, on a car or you're kind of changing that nautical wheel and you have to pump it a few times, I like to remind folks that the bigger the vessel, the longer this journey that you've been in, or the more that's at stake, the more it takes to kind of change the direction. So one attempt may not work. Two or three, it might take a few times before you're able to shift the trajectory. You can't make it too fast or things tip over. It's got to be slow and steady and constant. So I see you in a change in your life, but like a ship, it's going to take a while for that vessel to move in this direction, and then it should be smooth sailing. So don't rush it, and don't get upset if you don't see everything overnight. We did get a Wheel of Fortune. It is crossing that card, which means a change. This is the investment. This is the work. This is the time and effort. This is you cranking the Wheel of Fortune, and it's a good investment, basically, but not overnight. It isn't the upright. It's a crossing wheel. It's not negative. It's just saying it's taking time. And cycles are coming to a close. And there are two things that I would say here. You don't want to rush the end of something. So finish in the best possible way and put something out that you are behind. And then for those of you that are dragging your feet, you have to maybe catch up a little bit because there's a window that wants to open. So don't rush something that isn't complete, and don't drag your feet if something's ready. It kind of cuts both ways, and it isn't like an oxymoron here. Some of you need to get started, and some of you need to finish up. So figure out what you want to do, but finish with care, with grace, and with time. But if you've been waiting to do something forever, this is your call to action, okay? So take that as you will. And if you feel like more stuck, like what's happening in my life, this one is saying take the wheel and start turning. Decide what you want. And the first step or the first action could be deciding to take a class, do something that inspires you, read, get in the details a little bit, because the Eight of Pentacles is extremely detail oriented. Okay. Let's move on to your deep past. We have the Seven of Wands in your deep past, which is always a very strong card. Both the 7 and the 9. 9 of Wands, you've been through things. 7 of Wands, you're trying to show that you can do things. Sometimes it's a defensive stance. We don't see it as much in this one. She seems pretty calm, which good for her. I'm happy she's calm. But she has taken a few hits here. We can see that. Looks like flaming arrows were kind of thrown in her way. Let's look at the traditional stance for this, because I think that I do prefer the original illustration on this one because it really illustrates the point. There's always an option with the Seven of Wands, which is, one, I'm working hard and I can do all of this, but am I working too hard, or could I delegate a little bit and focus more on what would be like worth my time and energy? Because you take that one extra wand away here, and then you're back at the Six of Wands, which is success. When we're successful, people come swooping in sometimes, and they want to tear down your success or pull you back a little bit. So some of you might be just saying, no, I'm not bothered. That's not me. And you don't actually necessarily have to say that's not true. You just have to push back on that energy and say, I'm not going to engage with that. Celebrities and public figures have to do this a lot. It's just sort of like, I need to tune that out. So some of you are tuning it out. Some of you are defending yourself. Some of you are working a little bit too hard. We want to see you either go down a notch to the Six of Wands and focus on what made you successful, what makes you happy, where the most return is, or go up a notch and get busier and move past this sort of energy. So you can travel up or down, and it's not like going backwards. Going down, like if we look at the different wands, like Ace of Wands, you can go back to the original idea. 2 of Wands, you can, kind of build upon that. 3, you start to bring things in and you see work and progress. 4, you're partnering up. 5 and 6, 5, you're actually doing the work. 6, you're getting the success. So you've been through all of that. And with 7, it's sort of like, just don't give up, but also don't waste your time and energy. Okay? And now let's look at the illustration here. So one of the things here is to take a moment to maybe just clear things out. We see all of these wands in her shield. Clear your head, clear your slate a little bit, maybe take even a day off and get your perspective back where it needs to be. And then you won't feel like you have to go on the defensive. People may not be so keen on coming in and bothering your energy. You can just sort of like find your core and kind of find your base again, okay? Let's look at what's coming through in recent past. We have the Knight or Prince of Swords, and he's reversed. Slow things down a little bit. So I just hit upon that here. This will give you a chance to recalibrate. And I always like to look at, whenever I see a Knight, usually they're charging forward. So if the card is reversed, they're deciding to take a half step backward, or they're maybe even going back and revising, reviewing, or even releasing something that doesn't need to be there. There is power in that revision energy. So don't be afraid to revise your point of view. Just because you liked something a year ago, a week ago, or when you were a kid, doesn't mean that you're going to like it, 5 or 10 years from now. We constantly evolve our points of view. We want different things. When you sign contracts, make sure that there's opportunities for this sort of growth and change to happen. You don't want something where you can't, like non-competitive clauses or things where you're just sort of stuck. So make sure that you create a parachute or path to freedom for yourself if you have that in your capacity. For the rest of you, kind of like me, where maybe you worked a long time in a certain field or path and then you're drawn in something else, that's okay. You can always repackage. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, but this can be going back to school or repackage your existing skills into something else. I still do what I studied to do, which was report on what I hear and see. I ask questions. I tell stories. These are all sort of my undergraduate and graduate degrees, but they're just not how I thought I'd be doing them. So you can take your skills and use them in a different way. It might just require some building and some reworking and some time, but eventually you can get there, okay? So wherever you're at on this, revision is what I'm getting, and slowing down and making sure that you're doing it right and that it makes sense and that you agree to what you're agreeing to. So whatever you're signing on the dotted line, make sure you've read everything above the contract to that point, okay? Speak your mind. Any of the Swords court cards are outspoken. Page is inquisitive. The Knight is a little bit more pointed. He or she may come through and say, this concerns me. Please help me understand how we got here. They're going to come through with a little bit more of a pointed point of view, but they're still going to be open to receiving feedback. And I like it because of that. Or they're the ones that say, we need to slow down and take a look at this. I want to finish as much as you do, but we can't avoid this, okay? So definitely a voice of reason, and maybe not a popular one because it's going to require a delay, but ultimately the delay saves you time. So listen to this person or be this person. All right, let's get into your crowning card, and we have Strength, which is probably one of my favorite cards here in this deck. What I like about this one is we see a little bit more partnership. We don't see necessarily one person trying to control the other. So I always love a modern take on the Strength card. I'm going to go to a different deck for this one. So if we had used the Lightseer's deck, you would see this sort of morphed version of Lioness and the Lion, so and the Human. So basically, we don't have to control the other person. We don't have to become someone that we're not. What we want to do is blend a little bit here, blend sensibilities, blend approaches. Here we go. So this might be my favorite version of the Strength card. So we see the lion and we see the woman and we see the lioness in between the two. And this is basically, and we also see the follower here as the lamb. But basically, she doesn't have to control someone else to get her way. She is just a leader. And it's not about winning or losing. The original deck of cards here that we use, it was created by 3 people, Rider-Waite-Smith, and Smith being the illustrator, but the other 2 were men. So sometimes there are masculine energies in this deck, and that's why I kind of like to navigate between other ones. But I don't love the Strength card in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck because it seems to indicate that you have to control someone or that you have to try to get your way. What I do appreciate about it is that it's kind of warning us of the struggles and the dangers with that, because you'll see, if I can find this card, the person, here it is. Okay, so we see the woman putting her hand in the lion's mouth. Usually that's not going to end well, and there's definitely risk involved with that. And it's also saying, I subjugate or control you, and that's not necessarily a good situation. What I do love is for a Divine Feminine card, she's in charge. So, we get that bossiness in all the Queen cards. We get it here in the Strength card. We see it in the Star card, the World card. There's actually some great Divine Feminine representation in tarot. But I don't love that we have to see this sort of tug of war here. So, whenever I see Strength, there's a reminder here. Do you want to put that energy into that? We can take the gender piece out because it's antiquated, because it doesn't matter. And the Strength card can indicate an argument between you and someone that just zaps your energy. Have you ever walked into a room, had a disagreement or a conversation with someone, and then you leave and you feel like you're a balloon that's been deflated? That's the Strength card reversed. That's someone who has taken your power. And that's all this card is really about, is power. So you are equals. And that's one thing that you can remember when someone like that is taking your energy away. A lot of times it happens when it's a boss, parent, teacher, or even a friend or frenemy that's coming in there, and they know how to kind of get under your skin and push your buttons, and sometimes they use their position to their advantage. So you're going to step in and think, we're the same. We're both lionesses. We're both lions. You don't control me. I'm not. you can't make me say something, I can't make you say something. What would be stronger in the strength card is to celebrate one another's contributions and strengths, rather than trying to change this person or make them say or do something or control them. It's the same way like with my sleeping beauty in the background here, Apollo. Like we just kind of coexist. Maybe I'm the senior pack member of his whatever it is, pack, I guess, yes, of his family. But like, it's a very kind relationship. I'm not forcing him to do things. I'll always say, do you want to go for a WALK? And he gets excited. I'm not like, let's walk up. How about now? So I try to let Apollo feel like he has a say in things. It's always better if you allow the person some flexibility, whether it's an animal or whether it's a person. Always kind of cooperate with them, and it's going to be a better and more harmonious relationship. So there is a chance for you both to be strong and maybe closer to the lioness card that I was looking at here. So this card or this card showing equal energies and no subjugation, and less of this card, which is trying to get someone to say or do something, or letting someone take your power. Okay? The other thing with strength, we can read it at face value. Focus on taking care of yourself. You're tired, some of you. You've been exhausted. It could be energetic exhaustion because of what I talked about. Someone that just knows how to get under your skin. And so there's a decision right now that like enough is enough, right? This is also you in a really good way. So when I'm reading for Leo and I get the lion, I'm happy. So you should shine. We could almost read the strength card reversed as the star reversed for you. This is your moment to shine. And so don't let somebody stand in the way of that. Don't let someone tell you you're not someone that you know that you are. And that's why I think I was inspired to tell you the story of me as a kid, because people kept trying to mute my light. Both of my parents are gone, but bless both of them, especially my father, who I didn't have the strongest bond with, but he stood up to the teachers and said, I'm not going to let you take away his spirit. He's a spirited kid and he's a good kid. And thank you, Dad, for that. And my mom agreed too. She liked my laugh. She liked my joy. So neither of them punished me. They didn't even talk to me about detention. They were like, you're a good kid. We don't know what's going on. But you'll figure it out. So I appreciated that. So find someone in your life that knows you and trusts you and can be behind you. And don't change because somebody doesn't like who you are. Take care of your strength. Take care of your energy. Be kind to yourself. And if somebody's trying to control you like the traditional card shows, it's time to move beyond that. Yeah, my parents weren't perfect, but they were darn good where it mattered. They were great parents. So nobody on this planet is perfect. So in retrospect, I look back at certain moments like that and I appreciate it. There were other moments where I taught them, but in that one, they were stellar. So we're going to focus on the positive here. All right, judgment. We had this in your channeled messages. Let's go back to that slide for a second and review what I wrote, and then we'll interpret it in real time here as well. So let's see what I had here. Okay, so going back to the channeled messages here, I talked about the tipping point here with the judgment card. And I said, just like that little speck of dust that allows rain to condense or water to condense and then rain to happen, you have this moment that's been a buildup for a while, but there's one more thing here that's going to happen. And you may, at this point, question, is it real? And it is real, is what the card's saying here. But there's a little bit of disbelief stepping in with judgment reversed. So my encouragement to you right now is to believe and accept this moment in time. And remember, one thing that you'll always see in the judgment card is rebirth, reincarnation, a second chance, something different. So answer to the higher call. Allow yourself to be more than others thought that you were. Go past the glass ceiling. Hello. If any card represents breaking the glass ceiling, it would definitely be judgment, because you're getting a chance to rise up. There are very few cards that show that rising energy, but the Judgment card definitely shows it. So I would say death also represents a break. If I had to think of like breaking cards, Tower, Judgment, and Death, and then also the World, because they're all gigantic breaking points. And that's why as a reader, I get excited when I see those. It depends where they're at, but I never panic. I'm like, oh, something cool is happening. Something big is happening. And as a soul, this is what you came to the planet for. So if Judgment is coming through, you have this wonderful opportunity right now to reinvent yourself. You are not just what you thought you were before. You are more than that. And you're starting to get this deeper view of what's possible. And to me, that's exciting because it just shows such potential, right? Let me see what else we want to talk about with the Judgment card. Some of you may have had a close call with disappointment, sometimes even with death. It can be a life or death sort of situation. And this is a point that wakes you up a little bit. You're like, oh, this is what matters. The other stuff doesn't. And for me, both times that I lost somebody close to me, that happened. We can thank my dad for me being on this path. Also, I was going to do it eventually anyway, but his passing helped. It was that agitating point where I couldn't take the corporate pressure anymore. And with my mom now not being on the planet, what it's taught me is that I'm stronger than I thought. It definitely gave me the energy of strength, because it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. This card is you. We have the mother and father energy within us. That's why I like this. So when you don't have a big family on the planet anymore, you have friends, you lean on those, and then you also realize, I always had the strength. Now I just have to use it. So having loss actually makes you stronger. It's not what you want to go through. It's not easy. It gets easier with each passing day, but it's not easy to go through. It is a beautiful experience if you have an opportunity to help someone transition, because you get to sort of see the magic of our experience here. So why don't we take Judgment as this? Today matters. I'm going to take a moment and give some love to Apollo, and then we're going to continue this thought. Hey, buddy. What you doing back here, huh? Need to be tucked in? Yes, a good boy. All right. Apollo likes to be tucked in from time to time. Those of you that watch, you know that. Okay, so Apollo is reminding us as well to sort of like, and then he puts his face in the blanket. He's cute. This moment in time matters. Right here, right now. Not where you need to be in 10 minutes. I always laugh at the comments where they're like, he keeps talking, when is it going to happen? This whole reading, I feel like, is a ton of downloads and a ton of energy. I'm not going to rush through and just give you 3 cards and hang up after 1 minute. There's so much that we can talk about. And if you can't spare 5 or 10 minutes to dig deep into a particular aspect of your life, you're going to miss things. You're going to spin your wheels. You're going to waste time in the long run and then come back and have to do this. So slow down enough to digest. I'm sorry if I'm too slow for some, but we need to slow down just a little bit to digest, because I spent 15 years rushing through stuff. It's not worth it, folks. Rushing, it doesn't get you anywhere. You just spin your wheels like you're in the mud. It's so much better to slow down, be intentional, and run that 1 mile with intention, with speed, and with clarity of where you're going, rather than running into a tree, rather than taking the wrong path. Make it count. And that's what Judgment is saying. Trust what you're receiving. It's coming from the highest light. We connected to that divinity at the beginning. Make a decision to accept whatever that calling is, and then do it with intention, and really drink in this moment in time. It matters. So there's a time and a place to fast forward, but don't fast forward through this point of your life right now, okay? You are all that you dream to be. You are more than other people assumed that you could be. You are not the worst aspects that are projected upon you. We are always capable of recasting ourselves and breaking through, okay? You're not a bad person, not a bad kid. Maybe there's been some not so choice activities in your life, but you're going to change that now, and you're going to make better choices. It's all about choices. And it doesn't matter so much what you did. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do next? These choices shape the future you. And that's what matters the most. Some of you are deciding to focus a little bit more on love and relationships this month, and I think that's a good call for you. We have the King of Cups here. It's also a super creative energy. Let's look at the King of Cups. So, heightened sensitivity, much kind of higher connection to your creative self. Yes, it's about love. Interesting that he's trying to decide, do I want this or do I not? So, love is a complementary sort of energy, and it is a mirror energy. It is not a missing piece. So the more grounded, accomplished, centered, and complete you can be, the more all of those things will exist in the partnership that you currently have and also the one that you may call into your life. The more fragmented, the more insecure, the more uncertain, the more we bring in teachers to show us that, to hold up mirrors. So I really think this particular King of Cups is saying, am I ready for this? And it's okay to say yes or no. And you definitely have an opportunity this month to go deeper down the relationship sort of opportunity in front of you, or decide like, I need to know myself a little bit more, okay? So it's either self-love or external love that's coming through. Yes, you could be pulling in a wonderful water sign as well. Someone's showing you this is what they see. Someone that is worth loving, someone that's creative, someone that's sensitive, someone that's attractive, okay? So if we look at this particular illustration, we see a tentacle around him. To me, it looks more like a tentacle, but there is almost like a little snake here too. So I can't decide if it's a snake or like an octopus arm or something like that. The important thing for you is to find unconditional love, nothing that has sort of an anchor, nothing that's pulling you to be, again, going back to the Strength card, no one's forcing you to do anything. This is a celebration of divine strength, divine masculine, divine feminine. At its best, that's what the Strength card can represent. So you are on even footing with whatever sort of partnership that you're calling in. Make sure that you feel that way. And if someone or something is pulling you in a different direction, fix that first before you go a little bit deeper, okay? But yes to love this month, and yes to a water sign if it's coming into your life. We're going to go much more deeper than this in a few moments, so I'll look at it from different perspectives. So just put a hold on the love and we'll look more. But yes, love plays a key role in your chart this month, or in your cards this month. All right. First things first, though, environmentally, it looks like you have a choice to make. And the Two of Pentacles is a little bit pushier when it comes to your different choices. An Ace is an easy yes. A Six of Pentacles means there's a lot of choices in time and scope and so many things. You can probably get what you want, just not exactly how you thought it would be. The Two of Pentacles, however, this is saying, where do you stand? This or this? So if you're trying to help someone see a shade of gray, it's going to be a little challenging. If you're trying to please everyone, probably not going to work. And you're being pushed to say, all right, if you really want my point of view, this is what it is, this is why, but here's my feedback. So I think you have a little bit of leeway on this. There is a back and forth. You just have to know how far to push with the Two of Pentacles. When it comes to negotiations, it's really key to understand that everyone has something to gain or lose. So empathize with the person that you are negotiating with and think, would I want to give up what I'm asking them to give up? Give and take, push and pull. We saw a little bit of that here. And as long as it's not too much, you're not going to tip the balance out of your favor, okay? But you can tip it in your favor this month. You just want to sort of be a kind and tuned in negotiator. You can't ask for the sun and the moon, though, with the Two of Pentacles, just a little more. So in a contract negotiation, maybe it's like 3 to 5%. It's not a lot. If you're buying something, we're not looking at, tens of thousands. We're looking at 3 to 5 or something like that. So there's a little room for fine tuning, not a lot. But it could be that piece that makes you feel better. Now, I also usually look at this as just work-life balance. Some of you have been putting too much time and energy in one thing. Maybe it's been all relationship and your school has suffered if you're like in college. Maybe if you're working, it's been all work and your relationships are suffering. Maybe there's something else in your life. Maybe you've been trying to please work and home, but your health is suffering. You got to find the happy mix this month between where to put your energy, okay? So you're going to pull back from a little bit from one area and reinvest in another. And that's really the Two of Pentacles. It's very manageable. You have a lot of choice in it, but the question is, what do you want? All right, now we have the Four of Cups coming through in a reverse place here. And this Four of Cups is really cool. It's almost not even about the four cups in front of him. We see sort of the cosmos, the divine energy behind him, peeking in a little bit. And for some of you, this could even be your higher self checking in and saying, hey, look at what look at what's available for you. I do like that he's got this rose. I'm imagining that he's lifting this cup up and seeing, wow, there's something beautiful here. To me, roses are one of the coolest symbols because they're not clear cut. With a rose, we have both the flower and then also the thorn. So you want to look at things much like the Two of Pentacles this month and say, how does this sit? Yes, I don't like this. What are the thorns? But look at the beautiful outcome. Look at how this really surpassed my expectations. Is it worth these few prickly points to get to that beautiful outcome? And that's your Four of Cups is, does the good outweigh the bad? Or does the positive outweigh the sort of struggle, the work that you're investing in it? Of course, the traditional Four of Cups is like I said, a blessing in disguise or an opportunity that you might be missing. It could also be, again, this with this eye behind him, I almost feel like this moment in time is being opened up for you, and you're just being asked to sort of embrace or accept it. So I hope you can do that, okay? Now we have the rebellious Hierophant reversed. So Hierophant upright is structure, organization, traditional values, traditional approaches, boxing things in, categorizing things. It also portends or suggests that there is one gatekeeper. With the card reversed, you become the gatekeeper. You are not the disciple. You're not even the Pope. You're the one that just carries the key. Let me see. Usually I can find cards pretty quickly. So many of you know that my favorite Hierophant card is actually in the Wild Unknown, because we'll see a raven or a crow on this card carrying the key itself. And I'll find this card as we're talking. But this month, you have an opportunity to break free of a restrictive sort of system that doesn't really suit you anymore, okay? And all you have to do is kind of pick up that key, which sometimes is, I would say, the missing piece in the Five of Pentacles, because we see like a shelter behind the person and we see two people ignoring each other. I always like to think that extra key is it's in your pocket or it's right in front of you. So let's see, it's gonna be the last card that I pull in this one. Here it is. So here's the really cool interpretation of the Hierophant in this deck, right? Isn't that one of the best illustrations here? So we see like tower-like lightning behind the raven. We see it holding on to a skeleton key, which can unlock any door. And it's almost laughing in the face of this Hierophant card, where we have literally someone pontificating, a pontiff, saying, listen to this is the way, this is the key. And this bird is coming in, cawing and saying, no, this is the way. I know what I'm doing and I know how to do this. So you may be like that raven or crow, cawing and saying, I know what I need to do. And maybe you have to do it yourself, and that's okay. You've always had the key. We've been indoctrinated and sort of like led to believe that there's only one way to make this happen. But there's not just one way to make it happen. There's more than one way. Okay? You may need to revise. If we look at the revisionary energy of the Prince of Swords and the Hierophant, they work together. This is saying that used to work, but it doesn't work anymore. Let's flip the script. Let's change the typecasting a little bit this month as well. All right, let's move into the expanded forecast. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each one of these is multi-part. They carry with them multiple levels, and I'll do my best to help you see it. We're going to start with your health card first. I always like to remind folks that as we get into the health card, I'm not a doctor. I am looking at the metaphysics. And the metaphysics do affect us on different levels, but if you're going through anything physically or mentally, you can talk to that kind of professional. But I'm going to help you try to make the best choices to open up good experiences in your life. That's what I'm here for. And free will is always a part of this, so you get to decide what you want. Okay, like that raven that I just brought in, I'm giving you the key, but you're the one that's turning the key. All right, move your body. This one's pretty clear. This is your health card, mind, body, spirit. Move your body. Thank you, angels, for motivating me to move my body and energy. So for many of you, there's stagnation that's happening. And when we look at the cards, we actually got a weakening of body, mind, or spirit. So this is saying this is your time to increase vitality and movement. Many folks like me may be seeking a new living environment. So moving is part of moving your body because you're moving everything, including your body. So you might be moving out of a job, out of an apartment or a house. You might be also moving out of a relationship. Movement, tower-like energy, is a part of that. And again, when we're looking at this cool Hierophant card, we see the tower behind the Hierophant as well. Big changes, but you get to hold the key. You get to decide when and where and how. Okay, so make a decision to make a change or move for the better. And then when we're looking at moving your body, again, standard disclaimers apply. I'm not a doctor here. One of the ways that I started getting things moving, like post-lockdown earlier this year and even later last year, was just through returning to things like hiking and walking to the store again. And because we all got really afraid and kind of, we weren't allowed. There were curfews and all that jazz. Now we're getting used to sort of just, this is the new norm and we know how to protect ourselves. But for me, I love being outside, and being outside is something that is moderately safe. So I love to walk any and everywhere that I can, not just with my dog, but any opportunity that I can walk, if it's to the bank, if it's to the store, if it's anywhere. And that was a way that I started to move my body, move some of the weight that I had, and move also my energy and my thought processes. And it's so powerful, just walking and swimming. You don't have to jog, you don't have to hike, you don't have to lift weights. If you want to do that, you can, but just the simple act of moving and getting out of a sort of environment, it will release the stagnation of thought and energy. Then the body and the health start to follow through. And my doctor said, "What are you doing? Everything's improving." I said, "I'm just moving more." So that will help quite a bit. I also cleaned up my diet too, and I eat a lot more steamed vegetables and things like that. So move things along a little bit, change things up a little bit. It'll help you out. Let's look at some other messages when it comes to just general health and well-being. I mentioned the close call. It could be any kind of close call to failure, to death, to disappointment, whatever. But the Judgment card reverses a new chance. There's just a little lack of acceptance coming through. Listen to your body if the close call is coming from that. And know that you can also surprise yourself on how far you can recover, on what can happen here. So trust that you have a second window of opportunity here and step through that. You're not sort of stuck. You're not as stuck as you think. Stress management, something I talked to Cancer about yesterday, is also really important here. I think that you really want to spend some time making sure that you're not overworking yourself. Talking to someone, just getting it out. Whenever I see a page or a knight or a king or a queen reversed, when it's a sword suit, it's about just getting that stuff out. Writing it out is good too, somehow communicating. Finding the missing balance in your life. For each of you, it will be different, whether it's work or health or money. Something needs to be brought into balance here. And those are the main pieces, okay? Nothing catastrophic. The biggest focal point continues to be judgment. And judgment is powerful because just like justice reverse, sometimes we either don't accept or don't believe that we deserve something or that we can do something. So that could be your biggest block, even though we haven't even looked at blessings and blocks yet, okay? But if you can move past the disbelief, then you're going to be able to move on past whatever your current block is, all right? Let's move from your health into your wealth card. As we look at wealth this month, we have sacred inner space, sacral chakra, tenderness, and sensuality. So let's talk about this one. All right. So the sacral chakra is like the sexual center of our body. It's creativity and expression. It's also where sometimes we hold shame. which we're taught as children. It's not something that we bring into this lovely earth. So what you're going to be clearing out and cleaning out this month is I'm okay to express myself as who I am. Little sidebar. I'm going to put the time for this reading up later today. I just have to go in and program all the information. They don't magically appear. I have to go in and schedule them in advance. But on, I believe it's on Tuesday of next week, because I never do readings on Tuesday. But on Tuesday of this upcoming week, I'm going to do the Authentic You reading. And although this is especially for my fellow LGBTQ plus viewers out there, it's for everybody, because when you think about it, we all have parts of our life where we want to be and express who we are, but we're told that we can't be that. So for some of us, we're told that we can't go down a path of study, like your parents want you to be a certain career type when you exit school, lawyer, teacher, whatever, and you want to be something else. Sometimes it's about love. We love a certain person and someone else doesn't want us to love that. Sometimes it's also about just, like a change that happens within you. So maybe there's a spiritual awakening and there's like this sort of coming out. So we'll be talking about the authentic you on Tuesday. And everybody is welcome because it's all about inclusiveness. So show up if you're feeling blocked and you're feeling like, I want to do this, I want to be this, but I can't. So I'll represent everyone, including everybody under the LGBTQ plus banner, but we're also going to be looking at how all of us can be more accepting of ourselves, because I think if we can do that, all this other stuff doesn't matter. I kind of find it interesting that we now have to add so many letters. Hopefully we're getting that it's the whole alphabet eventually, right? It's everything. We just need to love. Love is love. We're all connected. But there's a part of all of us now that needs to kind of go back, whether it's the inner child like me that was not supported by teachers, or maybe for some of you that were bullied by others, or maybe not accepted by your parents. We all go through it. So from A to Z, we're all going through some of this stuff, and I'll help us with it on Tuesday. But today we're going to talk about it particularly in the second chakra, which is someone told you couldn't express yourself the way you wanted to express yourself. And that's now affecting how powerful you can be at work, because we had you in a sort of weaker form at the top, and I want to bring you into the upright, strong form of strength. So you're going to get your power back. And part of that is by expressing yourself as who you authentically are. So using what we have from today's reading and then also what we get from Tuesday's reading, you'll be able to do that. All right, so let's break it down. Work, money, and then how you're putting your time and energy into activities. All of this would be wealth. Also how you value yourself. That's why the second chakra is so powerful, because when you are capable of saying, this is me, and I am okay with that, then other people are not going to test you or bully you as much as they would have before, because then you don't have any lessons to learn from that person, and they don't have power over you. So that's the key sort of moment, is finding your strength and your power and your expression. We don't just express ourselves through this chakra, it's also the second. And we need to bring the compassion of the heart through that, the sort of security and strength and power that we have in the other two chakras as well. So anyway, let's look at what's going on right now. All right. For some of you, I feel like when we're looking at a work situation, there's a merger, a buyout, a transfer, something big is happening where we see a changing of the guard. And what you have to ask yourself is, does this express me? Does this new company, does this new vision express who I want to be and support that? Or do I need to go in a different path? Or you're stagnating and you're thinking, I've done this for X amount of time, but it's not actually feeding me anymore, and I need to do something else. So there's this awakening, and it, of course, I think the second chakra, just like, when we're going into puberty and becoming adults, there's like a sexual awakening. Sometimes we have this creative awakening in our quarter, mid, or later lives where it's like, I don't want this anymore. There's something more. There's something else that excites me. It's not just sex that can excite you. There's other things in your life that can excite you and inspire you. And you have this sort of awakening that's happening. So if that awakening is happening, definitely follow through on that. That's an awakening in that second chakra. And interestingly enough, it could connect you to things like relationships, because when you are passionate, you attract passion in your life. All right. So that's why we want to really allow for that energy center to flow, because it's going to bring nothing but good in your life. We have also here tenderness and sensuality. So the tenderness piece, is really allowing yourself to nurture yourself, the divine feminine, maybe that you didn't receive. We need to allow men to be sensitive, men to be able to express themselves, because that is what's causing a lot of the problems here on the planet at this point in time. Men are not allowed to cry. Women are not allowed to be strong. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And so reclaiming your divine balance, because the imbalance could be divine masculine and feminine balance in your life. So whatever you want to be, whatever you want to do, as long as it brings you joy and it doesn't hurt anyone else, it's a good thing. Go for it. And we also see going back to the basics here, finishing something that you never had a chance to finish. Absolutely. So this is school and training and completion. And this changes your whole life. I had a friend of mine when I was deciding or vacillating between, like, what should I do? Later I found out she was an intuitive. But I said, I'm starting to read cards, and it's something I'm interested in. And she said, you have to go down that path. She said, I don't know how. She said, but it's going to change everything in your life. You picking up a single deck of cards will change your whole life. And I'm like, seriously? She said, just do it. And so I was like, all right. And I just went down that path. One decision slowly but surely changed my trajectory, because I was never given that. That was nothing I was exposed to as a kid. I was intuitive, but I didn't even know about cards. Maybe if it was in a movie, but I still didn't even understand how they worked. It was just something that I was drawn to. So I was passionate about something. I listened to the passion, and that awakening brought about change and brought about balance in my life. So don't be afraid at any point in your life to go down that path, even if it's crazy, especially if it's crazy. It could be exciting. Do you feel it? Do you feel what you're doing? Or are you sleepwalking? If you're sleepwalking, it's time to awaken, time to do something different. I feel like you could get more than you have, many of you, at your current place of employment, or that I feel that maybe you're getting a lot, but it's not filling you up in the way that you need. Because we see a sort of fickle or unhappy King of Cups here. He's like, I could take it or leave it. So if you kind of feel like you could take it or leave it, it's probably time to look for something different. So passion is key. Balance is key. Seeing past what you've done and feeling like that's all that there is, that's also key. And I'll keep going over to the side here, but you hold the key. And that's what we see here with the Hierophant, okay? I'm just going to leave this to the side because it's a cool card to look at. All right. So all of that is playing a role here. And there could be an unexpected opportunity when you decide to go towards it or embrace it. And the gatekeeper that may be keeping you out of whatever this path is also there to push you in a new direction. So when I had people that kept saying no or didn't support me, ultimately, I'm grateful to them now. I wasn't at the time, but I'm always grateful to the people that it's like a pinball machine. They're the levers on the side that push you away from going, back into the socket. You want to keep moving, and sometimes the universe pushes you when you're not ready and you got to bounce around a little bit. It's better if you're the person that's operating the lever rather than being the pinball. So we want to make you that. Okay, so moving into the control mode or the Hierophant mode and not being the disciple, not being the person waiting for the keys. So many of you may have an entrepreneurial energy, right? All right, so let's continue looking, and we're going to move now on to love. One last thing, looking at this, if there is a negotiation, remember what I said, there's only so much you can get. So if you're in the glass ceiling, rise above, find something different, because ultimately, this is your worth, and you can't get a better card in tarot. You really can't than the Wheel of Fortune if I'm looking at resources. Even the King of Pentacles or Ace of Pentacles, this is major arcana. This is it. So when I'm looking at value, this is it, and this is you. But when I'm looking at your environment, this is what I see. Not enough. So take one thing and focus and invest it. Once you invest in that, then you're going to get back to the value that we see with this. Moving now to relationships. We have manifestation. Amen to this. This is the High Priestess. The card is reversed, but who cares? It's still the High Priestess. So whenever we see a High Priestess card or divinity card, as we see here, like an archangelic energy, why are you doubting your ability to manifest? Where did this show up? In relationships. This is specifically for those of you that are thinking, I can't find the person that I want. I can't find happiness. I can't find love. You're manifesting the can't. I want you to manifest the can instead. And for those of you that are trying to heal or work through a relationship, it doesn't have to just be new love. Maybe you're trying to mend a relationship with someone that you've lost that's in spirit. Maybe it's someone that's living. Maybe it's your partner. You can manifest a better connection to that person. You can also just reclaim your power with this. Whatever you're trying to create, you have more capacity to manifest that than you believe. And love with a capital L, not just carnal love, we're looking at love with a capital L, is the key. Kindness, empathy, tenderness, because we saw that in the second chakra card that I was looking at just a few cards ago. All of these things are going to be tantamount and required to the success of your happiness. So let's take a look at this. We're going to break it down. I'm tempted to do a fourth one here too with self, but we're going to look at those of you in a relationship, those of you looking for a relationship, those of you single and happy, and then we're going to look at a card for self-love. Arguably, I should always do self. My readings are just long enough as they are. All right, so for those of you in a relationship, it's really clear to me that one of the key things that is going to be focused upon right now are financial concerns. One or both of you may be thinking of going back to school or investing in something. You might be concerned about your kids if you have kids. We're looking at school, knowledge, training, work, and money. Super practical stuff that could cause a disagreement, that could cause a tug of war, that could cause an argument and words to be spilled, that may make you both go on the defensive because there's a lot at stake or there feels like there's a lot at stake when it comes to these sorts of decisions and resources. Try to see it from their perspective. Try to help them see it from yours. Try to move beyond the money or the practical elements. Remember that it's always been grounded in love. And there isn't a my way or highway sort of view. You both can decide to sort of take the mantle and be accountable for this. And I think that's what I would do in this situation with my partner, is I would say, okay, this is important to you. I can give this much, we can bend this far, but then you're going to have to do some of this yourself because, there's only so much that as a partnership we can invest in this. Some of this is, you're going to have to figure it out. So let people work a little harder at something if they want it, and decide how much as a partner and how much together you're willing to put into that, because it's not just about you or them, and they do have something at stake here as well. There's a middle ground on this. So trying to find the middle. And then if you really want to, if you have to do something, then choose to say, well, this is something I can't say no to. So I'll pull from this, I'll do this, we'll make it work. But I'll take on the lion's share of it if I have to. So you can be the lion on this one if you need to, okay? And that's what we're seeing here, is perhaps just deciding that if the other partner's not fully bought in, that you're going to do a little bit more. And then there's something that has to be balanced out in that situation, okay? Don't try to make someone else say something or do something, and don't allow them to push you to that either. You know what's best. They know what's best. We don't need to go into the sort of power struggle that we talked about with the strength card. Control is a big thing here. Who's in charge? You're both very similar. Obviously, this is you because this constitutes your sign. But this is a really strong match for that. I would have preferred to see maybe like Empress instead, but we have Hierophant and Strength. They both believe that they know the best way. The truth is, you have the upper hand. Strength in the traditional illustration over here, she basically is controlling and winning. But again, it's not about winning, so we have to have a partnership here, and we don't always want to have that tug of war. So try to find a way that both of you have something to gain. And you can create and co-create together, and that's really what manifestation is all about here, okay? If you're looking for love, one last thing, by the way, before I go into looking for love. One of the reasons it's so hard in current relationships is there's karma. So if I get judgment or death, in a read when I'm looking at relationships, it's usually past life energy. And there is the lesson the crowning lesson right now in the past life was who's the boss, who's in control. And you both are. You don't have to, you can both take turns. There is no winner or loser. And the sooner you can see that, the sooner this relationship will heal. And if one party is unwilling to do so, then it's time to move on, or you need space, or you need some sort of assistance to help mediate. If you're looking for love, I wanted to talk about that because you're calling in a teacher, not necessarily a partner right now. And the teacher lesson is, again, who's in charge? And the answer is you're both capable of doing amazing things. So let's not try to sort of like go into that teacher-student energy anymore. It had a time and a place. That time and place is not now. Let's see what else is coming through for those of you looking for love. Do you really have the time? If you want to make room for this in your life, this card is really begging you to do just that. Carve out some time and really make sure that you're ready to call in that energy. It looks like you're attracting a water sign in your life. You might also have a water placement, but we're seeing sensitivity, sensuality, tenderness being key adjectives that we could apply to this. So make sure that you are also emanating those things. Expressiveness, all of that, being able to be yourself. The person may not meet your typical expectations, but they may be more than you expected or come in a different package, but nonetheless, that could be really engaging. So be open, because the Four of Cups is a surprise, sometimes a blessing in disguise. And clean up your finances and finish what you started. All of those things will help you get better and ready and more grounded for what's coming through. But yeah, work-life balance is a key thing that's going to throw you off if a new relationship comes in. Now, for those of you that are not looking for love, you're single and happy, focus on your sort of like general health. I think this is true of every relationship status, but focus on your health. Take that key that we're seeing here to the side, open a door, do something new, make a decision that it's time now for whatever change in your life that you want to make happen. And in doing so, again, I feel like you're going to be calling in a gentle energy. It does look gentle, but creative, gentle, and sensitive, yet there is this need and desire to be, for both of you, you'll have friction when it comes to money or who's the boss. Those are sort of like the karmic energies that are coming through from the past. But I will say, if you can overcome this in yourself, then you'll just pull in a regular old King of Cups, which to me is one of the coolest cards to partner up with because they're strong, they're kind, they're caring, they understand you, and they kind of have the best of all the, I think it's one of the best partner cards to have. I would say it's a tie maybe between Pentacles and Cups. Pentacles rule house and home, Cups rule the heart. So those two are the easiest to partner with when I'm looking at energies, whereas Swords tend to talk a lot, talking to a King of Swords here. And then Wands tend to think a lot. And sometimes it's hard to get in that energy as easily as someone that's heart-centric or someone that just kind of gives you what you need. So you're pulling in a good partnership. Every element has its strength, but I like this, and I think it will help you. It'll help smooth things out. And it's really connected to what I saw earlier, which was water. Rain is your totem today, so it came through with the King of Cups. All right, and now, as promised, self-love, which I think is the most important piece. We talked about so much from the past, like overcoming a lack of vision from parents or teachers. Some of you right now are just maybe for the first time in your life realizing how strong you are. So if you can embrace that strength, then every relationship, every aspect of your life is going to benefit. And also understanding that you don't have to overly communicate. So we talked about, I'll break it down on the elements. So if we take the lens of strength, and I'll leave it at this and we'll move on to the next thing. Here's the lesson for everybody. So if you are fire, what's going on for you right now with the message of strength right now is that you have the capacity, you have the spark, you have the leadership to do this. You don't have to ask permission. You don't have to prove yourself. You just have to show. And Wands or fire does a really good job of leading and showing. So stepping into that leadership is key. By doing that, someone's going to love your strength, your power, your fire, your passion, and that's going to bring in love. But you have to love yourself and demonstrate that. For swords, you've probably received negative or not so constructive criticism. And even though you have the ability to see above your air, it still floats around in that space. So for you, it was the irritant. For you, it's something you need to let go of. It was the little dust, a little speck of sand that went up into the clouds, and it's going to help bring the condensation down. So you're going to release that negativity, and you're going to use your voice for good, and you're going to move things. Even though you're not fluid, you're like air and water are similar because they can move easily, whereas earth is very sort of stuck. So you get this chance to move it further along once you let go of this, once you see through the clouds that are just this dust from somebody else. So clear your head of the energy that is no longer yours, moving into the element of earth. So your strength is your solid energy, right? You can put something in your energy and watch it grow, like we plant a seed in the planet. So your strength is actually being still and nurturing and waiting. You're playing the longer game. So air and water can move a lot faster than you, and fire can move along in different ways too. But you are being asked to sit for a second and just deal with this, nurture this, and watch it. And it's this patience. Patience is your sort of message that's going to pull someone on, because they're looking at someone that has the capacity not to rush them too. So you'll pull in a gentler, kinder energy because they're looking for someone who's patient. So be patient with yourself. And ending with water, for you, sometimes there's so much movement in your energy that it's hard to know where to go. So remember, like a wave, there's fluidity, there's cycles. Rather than just moving around, I want you to focus on looking at the cycles in your life and decide, how do I, like, be the wave instead of just being sort of the sediment and the stuff in the wave. And decide, I want to keep moving a little bit further in this direction. And just like a wave can carve out a path, you can do it. It's going to take a few passes for you. So we're kind of going elemental today, and I don't normally do that, but you have different placements. So depending on that, that's part of this for you too. So the elements wanted to speak today, so I'm letting them speak, and I'm doing it in a really abstract way. So for whatever reason, Leo, I want you to look at your other placements and see if you have water, fire, earth, air, etc. in the different placements, and this will help you complement it. And when I look at sun, rising, and moon, if you're in that, this will help you as well. But for whatever reason, I wanted to go there. Okay, so let's look at Eagle now. Eagle is your destiny card, and this is telling you to move on, to see it from a higher point of view, and to really focus on going after what you want. When I see a bird of prey, when I see one that's an apex predator, it's basically saying, I'm at the top of my food chain, I can get what I want, I'm gonna do this. So that's your big call to action, is to choose to go down that path. All right. Let's move into the big idea. We'll go a little faster through some of these since I geeked out on the elements a bit, but for whatever reason, that wanted to come through. So I am a channel, and I'm going to let whatever needs to come through me, come through me. All right, big idea. Something to focus on. We've talked a lot so far. What is the one thing you can do to be the most effective? Well, now we've got the Ace of Pentacles, and that came through. Let it go. I just talked about it with respect to air being clouded up, and I said that those specks of dust, they're there to help you let go of something. So when you let go of something, what remains is what you're supposed to be focusing on. Take something and really put the energy into it, like I talked about with Earth as well. So Earth is so essential in our life, actually, right? We need it, we live on it. But, you know, when you're looking at it, who knew that it actually helps rain happen? You need it for plants to grow. And so I want you to ground yourself in something key. Let go of the stuff you don't need to, and then ground yourself in something that's really important, and be patient with that, as I just talked about with the elements. Okay, let's move on to blessings and blocks. By the way, some of you might have a new offer on the table. Before I look at that, one last note on the big idea. Some of you have an offer on the table, and you have to decide, is it good enough for me? Don't settle if it's not good enough for you. Blessings and blocks now. So just as it sounds, these are going to be things that can help you, things that could throw you a curveball. Let's take a look and see what they have to say. Blessing. Block. They're both positive. So you got a good month ahead of you. Your blessing this month, we're getting a bunch of aces. It's all aces for you this month. We have the Ace of Wands. I guess I was talking about elements for a reason, because you have a lot of options in front of you. Go back and listen to what I just said and figure out which one resonates most with you. But the truth of the matter is each of these may. If I keep getting ace cards, I know why I did what I did. But even 2 is a lot. So the Ace of Wands, your blessing. You have an idea. What are you going to do with it? You have a thought. You have that little irritant that we talked about, even though it came through with Pentacles. But the water was a way to release it. The fire is a way to sort of like figure out, now, how am I going to breathe some sort of life and energy and passion into this? So this idea is only as good as its follow through. And we see a phoenix rising what? From the ashes of what? The Judgment card. So you are not stuck. And you know that there's another way to do something. You know that there's something better waiting for you. You know that there's a second act to your play. Okay, you're only in your first act. So, and even if you're mid or later life or career, there's still a third act. There's more to come, okay? The block, pressure, fear of failure. Success is nothing to be afraid of, but some of you may be afraid of succeeding or failing. There could also be a lot of optics or eyes on you. Isn't it interesting how whoever illustrated for Rachel's deck here, we see the eyes on the wings of the birds. And so there's all these eyes on this lovely bird here. But what we see in the nest of the bird is dice for chance, Ace of Pentacles for investment. We see the growth with the daisy. You have everything that it takes. It's almost like you took all the stuff from the magician. You know you can do this, but it's not about capturing lightning in a bottle and trying to do the same thing twice. It's about saying, I did that. That was great. I did really well at that. Or maybe I wish I could have done better, but now I'm focusing on this. And I know I can succeed. And I don't care if it's what people wanted me to do or how they wanted me to do it. The fact that I'm doing it my way is what's going to make it special. So do it your way and take the heat. Take the heat if people have questions and say, yeah, this is how it's going to be done. There's going to be some optics, there's going to be some pressure, but your idea is worth it. And we got 2 wands here for blessings and blocks. This is taking this and really making it shine, and you put them together, and this is why you had the 7 of Wands here. She's not bothered. She's not defeated. She might be a little annoyed and a little tired, but she's going to get through this. So you can too. Let's take a moment to look at the viewer's choice and the reader's choice, and then we'll move into the sun, rising, and moon messages. All right. So let's, sorry, I think I just asked a blank question. Let's try it again. Okay, here we go. I'm ending that poll because that was not a poll. So let's try a poll again. All right, so adding a new poll with actual questions in it. What we're going to do is take a look at what's in front of us. So I want to help you through a few elements here. The first one is finding balance in your life. Finding balance in your life. Okay. The second thing that is important is second chances, because we see that with judgment. Second chances / reinvention. You're not stuck unless you feel stuck. And then let's look at manifestation over here. Manifesting your vision. And you can vote on those. And while you're voting on those options, I'm going to take a look here at... I'm actually really called to look at peer pressure. So I want to look a little deeper at the 6 of Wands, and I want to look at the optics. Why is this coming through? What's the message around optics or peer pressure? For all of you that just voted yes, thank you for the affirmative vote, but let's vote on the next one. Okay. All right, so optics, 5 of Cups. Very interesting card to come through. Optics is just a fancy word for what people are looking at and seeing externally. It can be the peer pressure. So when you're in the spotlight, sometimes it feels like you're focusing. We got all the sort of eyes on these cards, right? I feel like some of you are just too worried about what others think. And you think that they're looking at the worst aspects, but look behind her in this bathtub. She has 2 cups. 2 cups, 2 of cups, what does it equal? Love. 3 of cups is gossip. Don't pay attention to the gossip. Pay attention to, no haters, pay attention to the lovers. And don't hate yourself and don't highlight the negative aspects of yourself. Work on and highlight the positive aspects. If there is something critical, if there is something that you need to work on, that's your business. And it isn't everyone else's business. So there's a lot of love for you. You're focusing perhaps on some of the not so lovely comments, but it's not everything. And realize that everybody's going through their own stuff. We see all the tears on all the eyes. So you never know what someone else's story is. You never know what pain they might be going through, but they may not know what you're going through either. So try to find a way to see the best and inspire the best. And maybe your biggest opportunity is to help people get in touch with something that moves them. So, you think of the best music and the best stories. They're the ones that make us cry and laugh, not just one or the other. So find a way to kind of get into the authentic emotions, and that'll be key. All right, let's see what you voted on for me. Manifesting your vision. Why not? Let's take a look and see how you can be more powerful in creating your dreams or manifesting your dreams in your own life. No constricting or sort of like limiting thoughts. We've got the devil in reversed. Nobody loves to get the devil card, but if I'm going to pull the devil card, like I said, as a reader, I don't mind. 10 of Swords, Devil Tower, throw it in there because we're going to find a way to embrace this. So upright devil, not my favorite because it is about limitations. It is about pulling the strings. The reverse devil is basically saying, I see through this illusion. So the first thing, because again, I'm looking at how to manifest, right? How to manifest your vision. So for some of you, you are going immediately to the critical, which is, it hasn't happened, it probably won't happen, or I don't think I can do this, or all these can'ts, won'ts, shouldn'ts, etc. So we need to put those to the side, and we need to figure out how you can manifest it, what you can do, who else like you has done this, what you can learn from them. Also, if you are surrounded by people that tend to hold you down, kind of like we were seeing with this mysterious arm in the corner here, this tentacle, then it's time to cut free from those connections because that is conditional rather than unconditional love. You want to untether yourself from people who say things like, why can't you be more like insert blank? It can be your sister, your mother, your brother, your father, whatever. Or why can't you be more like this or that? Maybe it's aspects of your life. I wish you, if you could only get this grade, if you could only do this, if you only cut your hair, if you only lost weight, all these stipulations, that means they don't accept you and they don't love you as is. And until they do, they're not ready for you. They're not good enough for you. You deserve more in your life, okay? So conditional energy needs to go away, and at its core, that's the devil. I love you, but only if. We also want to avoid giving away everything. The devil comes through sometimes when you have a great idea and you're signing a contract where you give away too much. Never want to sign a contract with El Diablo because that energy always wins. So if there's something that, again, it's what you wanted, but they're asking for something that doesn't feel right. It seems like it's, not that it's too good to be true, but they're asking you to give away a part that you didn't want to give away, then don't do it. So contractually, it needs to be even. 50-50, give and take, or more than that when we're looking at contracts, but you know what I'm talking about. When it comes to dreams and visions, don't limit it. We've got a common theme here. Restrictions, limits, ceilings, boxes, gatekeepers, we don't want these. Your path is probably the independent path. One that you walk on your own or one where you're more of a boss. So if you're going to negotiate a contract, you want to be the executive producer role and you want to have, a right to say yes or no on things. You really want some power. Okay. So don't give away your power. Don't limit yourself and don't doubt what you see, because just as high priestess energy reversed can be sort of like self-perpetuating, and it's sort of like creating this sort of, self-perpetuating prophecy, where she's saying, I can't do it, I won't do it, this doesn't work. So instead, just turn it around and say, I'm tired of this, I release this, and I embrace this. You need to release something with devil energy coming through in this question in order to manifest better. It could just be doubt. It could be someone around you that won't let you be what you want to be. Whatever it is, you're on this precipice of pulling the power back. It's always worth noting that the Lover's and the Devil's energy is very similar in tarot. So the only difference is conditional elements of it and the chains that bind. So when you release that conditional element, things are better. No lies. We don't have time for that. And definitely when you think of the tools of the devil, it's fear, it's deceit, it's control. So what you want to be is independent, transparent and clear in your communications, and honest. And you should expect the same from others. So when you clean up your energy around you and then you focus on your vision, you can manifest much better than you have in the past, okay? So that's my long-winded answer to that, but there was a lot to unpack with the devil. All right. Understatement of the century with that, but yes. Let's move on to the final big piece of the main portion of the reading, and this is looking at sun, rising, and moon energy. Okay, so for sun, rising, and moon, quick little tip on how each works. The sun is basically who you are. The rising is how other people are viewing you. It's not always who you are. Actually, it's who you're trying to become, or how you're trying to project yourself. And the moon is a sort of hidden part of ourselves. It can be a hidden secret. It can be a hidden power. I'll repeat these things as I look at them, but I just wanted to kind of let you know why we're looking at each and how they factor in. Let's pull the sun, rising, and moon first, and we'll go from there. Sun, rising, moon. This is where all the fun is happening, is in the sun, rising, moon portion. So if you stuck around, good, because you're going to get some important information here. Sun, as I said, this is the true you. If you are born under the sign of this is kind of like showing your personality. So I was meant to talk about my childhood a little bit here because we have the Five of Pentacles. The traditional card, well, I like this one because we see someone on the outside looking in. It's almost like when you have a door and there's a peephole and you want to sort of like see the world, but you're stuck on one side. So I get what the illustrator was doing on this. Sometimes we hold back because we're not sure how we match up to the other people on the other side of that door. If I can find it fast enough, I'll look at the Five of Pentacles traditional one, because the interesting thing with the Five of Pentacles is you have help, it's usually right beside you, and you have shelter, it's usually right behind you. So what you're seeking is all around, but yeah, I found it pretty quickly. What's important is that you tune in. There's a core relationship that needs a little bit of healing, and there is a better tomorrow, there's a better space, and it's possibly within reach. It just requires you to use that key. And someone in your life made you think you couldn't use the key, or that you couldn't open the door, which is what we're seeing the metaphor for here. So you can do that. So the message this month in 3 words is, I am enough. We could take it a level up. I'm more than enough. 4 words, right? You're more than enough, and you're more than deserving of any opportunity that comes your way. Whoever said you weren't, it was conditional energy. It was a lack of vision or lack of imagination. So worthiness, self-worth, self-acceptance, and self-love. That's the key to open the door. Don't accept less than the best. There's definitely room for growth when we're looking at resources and self-love this month, and the key, is through the self-love and the self-acceptance. That is everything on that one, I believe. One last piece is, for some of you, there is mother or father energy that needs to be healed a little bit, because as we saw with that traditional card, a lot of times there is parent and child energy, a wound from the past. So you're going to go into that inner child and say, even if you didn't have the love and acceptance that you needed, I love and accept you. And I, as an adult, I'm fully realized it's going to be okay. It's like the it gets better campaign. You're telling the younger you it gets better, or I get stronger. Even if the world doesn't get better, I get stronger. That actually probably would have been a better way to say it. You get stronger and you get more capable of dealing with everything in the world. So find that inner strength, and that's why strength came through for you. And hello, you're Leo, you're strength. So you're strong enough to do this. Moving on to rising and ascendant. As I said in my little thumbnail sketch, this is how you want to be seen. This is what you're projecting. Some of you are afraid of failure, and that fear of failure is holding you back from turning the wheel of fortune in your direction. The fear of optics, which we saw over here, and all the eyes being on you sometimes, is like also creating that sort of reverse action. So if you achieved, let's put it differently. If you experience any sort of failure or setback in your life, there's a new dawn on the horizon. There's something better. And sometimes we need to experience a rejection or a door closing to know that it's done. So to me, what the Ten of Swords represents is a full stop, a period, the end of something, the end of a journey. But then it's saying, I choose recovery, I choose happiness, I choose to move onward, because the next step is the Page of Swords. You go up. You don't have to repeat all the pain. You're going to now move into the power cards, the Page, the Knight, the Queen, the King. So you're stronger now too. There's a different strength, but the strength for you came through the experience of loss, came through the experience of disappointment. For the Sun, it was just a question of trusting that you have enough. For you, for rising, you had to go through something that didn't work out the first time. That doesn't mean it's going to repeat. This isn't a card of repetition. This is a card of overcoming the odds. And if we were to look at it, my favorite illustration, if I can find it fast enough, we're already long-winded today, so who cares, is this particular deck. So the Ten of Swords, as we look at it here, is what happens afterwards. Oh, I can do this now. I know what I want to do. That didn't defeat me. It wasn't fun. It wasn't cool, but I'm not gonna experience that again. And I say that because you have judgment. So judgment creates that other Ten of Swords card. And it's all about perspective. Have you learned that I've just done this long enough that I can kind of see all the different decks in my head, and I like different illustrations for different reasons, but this is just one interpretation. It's not the only. So sometimes we feel like we're stuck here, but you're not, okay? So this is not the end. That's my message to the rising and ascendant. You may not have accomplished what you wanted, or there may have been some negative feedback, or you may be going through a really painful experience in your life, some sort of internal turmoil. This is just a moment in time. It's not a full stop in your life. It's getting you past something so you can get onto something better. It's the ultimate sort of agitating energy that we saw with the rain, and something big and something better is happening next for you. How funny is this? For the moon, we got the moon. So the moon sign is our hidden secret. The moon in tarot is asking us to look at our hopes, our fears, and also the things that we know that we need to fix but we're afraid of. So for you, you may be holding back a little bit because you're afraid of what people might think, because you're afraid of what this might, how this might sort of like reflect upon you. A lot of times when you look at super accomplished and successful people, it's the fact that they've had something tricky in their life that makes them even more relatable or likable. So maybe someone suffers from a learning disability, and the fact that they have embraced it and embodied that and used that as a part of their life, it makes them more human, right? Someone experienced a significant loss or failure. Suddenly they're not perfect, but they're a lot more relatable, and now they're more inspirational because they were able to bounce back or bounce above something. So if there's anything you're afraid of having people judge you over, how do you judge it? That's really the key this month for the moon signs. Love and accept all pieces and parts of yourself, embrace it, and then if others don't, that's on them, not you. That was their conditional love. You actually now are getting a chance to see them for who they are. The moon card also represents a waste of time sometimes. There is two very different energies, but they have a common ground between them. So we have the dog and then either the coyote or the wolf. And they represent a traditional trained approach, like pragmatic energy, and then the instinctual side that is going to lead you down a path that feels right. So training versus intuition and instinct. And the truth is, why can't we pull from both courts? Why can't we pull from knowledge and also intuition and go the middle path sometimes? And it's not a straight path, it's a winding path. So you both have valid points in your life if you're looking at something. Take the best from both and embrace. And that's the message from Moon Sign. Today's reading was unusually, not that they aren't all sort of like deep, but today we went deeper than usual, and it was my pleasure because that makes it fun for me as a reader. That means that all of you were open if you were present today, or those of you that are going to watch this later. Definitely a super plugged in reading today. So thank you. It's fun. I never know what to expect when I show up, and especially this morning when I was dealing with crazy people on Instagram. All right, we're almost ready for the final portion. Before I get into the meditation and the final card, by the way, the final card is if you have a question that I haven't yet answered, I'll answer it. You just meditate on it and pull a card. But before we get into that, a reminder that my website will show my entire schedule. Here's a link to it if you need it. I would love for you to show some love for the channel. I'm really close to a milestone. If I get to 325 in the next month or so, we'll do another Q&A. Can't wait to do that. Here are my official handles on social media. I also posted that in the pinned comment. It's always Nicholas Ashbaugh. Today on Instagram, they dropped the H. And again, they were messaging people and adding friends and doing stuff that I don't do on Instagram. So unless I'm live and chatting with you here live, just ignore messages. It's not me. It's not real. Let me know about it. I will do my best to report it, but Instagram said they couldn't do anything. So I'm now relying on you guys to help with that. So if you have a chance and you follow me, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram and then report the fake person for me. It'll help out. All right. And if you'd like to show some love and support, you can do it here with a super chat or a super sticker. All right. So let's get ready for the meditation. And then we'll do the final card for today. For today's meditation, what are you guys feeling? I feel like we need to work with the element of water. And I want to actually work with the rain a little bit. So let's do that. I'll give you a chance to vote on the instrument that I'll use for the sound bath, and then we'll get into this meditation, then we'll wrap up today. Again, thanks for sticking around. I know that I tried to give you a little extra time since you had to wait a couple minutes for me today. So, all right, so you can use a crystal pyramid and or a singing bowl, whichever one calls to you. In the meantime, everyone out there, please close your eyes for a moment and see yourself in the middle of a field. And I want you to imagine that a rainstorm is underway, but it's just starting to let up. So there's just a few drops here and there of rain. I want you to just hold out your hand and allow a few of them to be captured by your palm. And look really closely at this little sort of globule of energy that's forming in front of you. And in it, you can see sort of like an upside down version of the world around you, this reflection. And you start to see in the distance a rainbow forming as well. But as you're looking through this prismatic little speck of water in your hand, you realize it's kind of a metaphor for the universe too, for God and the sort of creative energy looking in at us, for our relatives that have passed on, that are looking in at us. And it's giving you a moment to remind your higher self and also your physical self of your power of creation. So you are the hand holding that drop, but there's also sort of this higher energy that's working with you. So it's like a Russian doll, but you're seeing now that you are part of this creation process. So in this little small speck of light and speck of dust, as we know as well, we've got like an Ace of Pentacles and an Ace of Cups in a drop of water in your hand. You get to make a wish. Forget the coins in a fountain. You have two aces in your hand, an Ace of Cups and an Ace of Pentacles. So with the Ace of Pentacles, what's your wish? What are you trying to create? With the Ace of Cups, put all your heart into it and believe that it can happen. And then When you're ready to release that, just let that drop go into the ground, into the earth, and allow it to grow. Allow it to be received. Allow it to go back into the whole system of this planet. And realize that this was you taking the Wheel of Fortune and turning it. You made a wish, you let it go, that's part of it. And now you're just going to celebrate that you are a part of the creation of whatever your vision is. As you turn your attention towards the sun in front of you, you now see the rainbow is coming in your direction. And it's touching each and every associated chakra because it actually works that way. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, etc. Violet, indigo. So feel that each and every one of your energy systems is connecting now to the sky, and that you are ready to receive. And just be in a receptive point at this part of the reading. I'm going to conduct the sound bath now, playing the crystal pyramid. All you have to do is receive. See what comes through in your own meditation as I do this. Ask your guides for some clarity, for some guidance, and just enjoy. Take a deep breath. Allow each and every one of those colors of the rainbow to wrap themselves around your body, creating a beautiful white glow of energy that's going to follow you through each and every day of your life. Know that your intention has been heard, that your seed has been planted in the earth, and all you need to do now is to follow your heart. Take a nice deep inhale, rub your hands together. Feel the warmth, the heat, the light, the energy, the spark of intuition and inspiration that always lives within you. Place those hands on your heart center and open your eyes. Welcome back. Focus now on whatever final question you might have for me that we haven't yet taken a look at. And let's let the cards indicate the answer. What's coming through for this final question? Queen of Swords. It's a yes. She requires action and communication. So it's yes, comma, but what you need to do now is decide how to communicate your truth and what you're going to do about it. So you've got your dream, you have your vision. What are you going to do? Are you ready and willing to take that mantle of leadership as well? If you are, some exciting things can happen for you. This is a card that celebrates public speaking, written communication, writing a curriculum, somehow kind of delivering upon something. It's not meant to stay just in here and here. You're supposed to use your voice. So open up that throat chakra and decide how you're going to express yourself. An unusual expression of the Queen of Swords can also be painting and art. She needs to experience and sort of get it out, but somehow just sort of like express it. It can't stay stuck. But at some point, usually written or verbal communication is a part of this. That's the key. If we're looking for the Hierophant key, the key is your voice. and the key is the words, and the key is the action that follows up the voice and the words, okay? It's a yes. Some of you might be signing a contract. Some of you are speaking up. Some of you are being asked to speak up. Some of you may be also dealing with a legal situation. It's in the upright position. It's as good as it can be for you based on what I'm seeing, okay? There you go. Thanks, everyone. Today was special. I don't know why some of you came through with a really sort of receptive energy, but each reading is amazing. Some are extraordinary. This one was a little bit out of the realm of ordinary, so I'm glad that those of you that stuck around. I saw someone in the comments saying that they can't visualize. Again, that's an example of a limiting thought. When I first started meditating, I was in a meditation group, and everyone was saying, like, they would describe all these sort of trippy things. And when I'm not in a sleep state, what I see is more sort of like sketches, like black and white or outlines or figures. So I used to think maybe I couldn't visualize, but that's not the case. I mean, I could see the rainbow when I talked about it, but really if I'm kind of in my head and I'm talking to you, it's more black and white. It's more like on a sketchbook. When I'm asleep, then I get to see all the colors and I get to see the different elements. Or if I truly go into a meditative state and kind of pass just to almost the realm of dreaming, then I get the richer visuals. But otherwise, I actually see it more in like old-fashioned black and white. So give yourself chance and credit. You may be able to go deeper than you think when it comes to meditation and seeing things. And also, seeing isn't everything when it comes to the receptors. You can hear, you can taste, you can smell, you can feel with your heart, and you can also go in a different understanding zone. There's different clairs. Don't limit yourself just because one of them isn't where you want it to be right now. It doesn't mean it's always not going to work. Mine sharpened up over time. So now I can see it. If I want to go into the colorized version, I can. But initially, it's sort of like a sketch in my head, and then I fill it in like a coloring book, you know? So have fun with it. Don't say you can't see, because that's another example of self-fulfilling prophecy, okay? Again, maybe some of you really are not visual, I get it, but I opened up and I was able to see more than I thought I could see, and part of that came when I least expected it, so same may be true of you. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. I'm going to take a few moments now to welcome any of the new members or anybody that gave back with a super sticker or super chat today. I appreciate all the long-term subscribers and viewers and members and Patreons. But today I'm going to just welcome the new ones, and we're definitely at time here, so I just want to be mindful of everybody's time here. So let's do this first, and then we'll wrap up. A reminder again that I'll be doing a weekend collective while I get this page pulled up. So I'd love to see you on Sunday. This felt very much like a weekend collective to me today, but the weekend collective, we go even a little deeper and look at an extra topic. And then again, I'm doing a special topic on Tuesday on the authentic you. Okay, so it does not look like we had any new members today, so we're going to skip over that, and we're going to go straight to super stickers and super chats and see if there's anybody new. So it's a pretty small list on this, so we can get through it quickly. Thank you, Suzanne, for kicking things off and for staying up late in Australia to watch me. I appreciate it. Adrian Wagner, thank you so much. Jeannie Hart, good to see you again. Sunshine Finney, and also Peppermint. Thanks to all of you for your love and support today. It's great to have you here. All right. That, my friends, is everything. I hope you enjoyed today's reading. Looks like you have a powerful month ahead of you based on what I picked up today. If you liked what you saw here, the best way that you can help is, again, by liking and subscribing, and then also sharing this with someone that you think might enjoy it. So you can retweet or reshare something from social media. You can also share directly from this video. There's a little share button, and that helps with engagement. All right. Lots of love and light. See you again on Sunday. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Have a great month ahead. And thanks for spending this time with me today. I definitely appreciate it. All right. Bye-bye, guys. Thanks.